Yeah, it was awesome. Just glory to God, man. It was a blessing. Glad my family was there to see it. They drove 10 hours, so shout out to them. But yeah, it was a cool experience for sure.
To be 2-0, and I know that that's something this team is kind of used to at this point, but then to get to 3-0 obviously presents a whole new set of challenges. How do you think this team is equipped to handle that?
Yeah, we're happy about being 2-0, but we're not complacent. So, we got to, we haven't been 3-0 in a long time. We got to go out and have a good game on Sunday, no matter who our opponent is. So I think, we got the team to do it, and we're excited to just go put our best game forward on Sunday.
What about this team's ability in 2 weeks in a row to come from behind in a 2-minute situation to grab a victory?
Yeah,
What do you say about this group?
it just shows our grit and our toughness, to this team, testament to us. And, we got a lot of dogs on this team, a lot of good players. So, we stepped up when the moment wasn't too big for us, and, we came out with the wins. So.
What are your thoughts about the offense's overall resiliency and just overcoming injuries, whether that's wide receiver room, the offensive line?
Yeah, the thing about this game, the injuries are a part of it. And, guys are going to go down, but the name of the game is guys got to step up. I did that in my career, and, other guys, I hate to see those guys go down, and, prayers to all the injuries that we've had, but guys got to step up, and that's just what we got to do. So.
You had to do that last year. What's going through your mind when suddenly you're thrown out there and you maybe didn't have the same number of reps in practice during the week or in previous weeks, and you may not have maybe this play wasn't drawn up specifically for you. Like, what's that kind of like when suddenly you're thrust out there? Maybe it's also in an in-game situation versus like going and getting the start. So you kind of don't get those first early reps. Like,
Yeah.
what is that
Yeah,
like?
you're not always getting those first team reps, but you just like I said, you gotta know your assignment, know what you're doing, and you gotta be ready to go in at any point in time of the game. So you just gotta be ready. That's all I gotta say about that. So.
All right, thank you.
What the heck? The hits keep coming for your group. You thought you were already doing enough shuffling with the O-line, and now you got another one.
Yep.
With Cody.
Yep.
Can you speak to the resiliency of this group and the tests that you guys have kind of been facing?
Yeah. Obviously we're sad to see that Cody's out. But it speaks, like I said, it's the next man up mentality that we unfortunately all have to have. This is why we all get reps together during spring and during training camp going into it. So we are prepared for times like these.
At what point did you actually know he was hurt? Because he's played out there for a very long time, I understand, after he sustained the injury.
Yeah, he finished the game, we flew back together, and then I got word, a little bit later on. But I think that speaks to Cody's toughness. That he was out there battling through it for a 2-minute drive at the end to go win the game, and we ended up running the ball right behind him on that last play, and Shad popped it in there. So if anything, that's a huge testament to Cody.
How much of these 3 weeks been a test?
This is the ultimate test of it. We're in real ball, the regular season, and we've got a lot of obviously different combinations that we've been working. So this is what you prepare for, and it's a test that we're facing.
Charlie, worked at the left side pretty much all training camp, and you made the decision to go another way. For him to come in the way he played, right tackle, what did you feel about what he was able to do there?
Yeah, I thought Charlie came in and did exactly what we expected him to do. He played his heart out, did a good job out there, and kind of came in cold on a third down and just came in there and started blocking people. So Charlie's a guy that we can depend on, and we're happy to have him out there.
When you get down to the goal line, 2 yards, clock's a factor, right?
Yeah.
And then you get that call, run this ball right here. So what was that like for you to say, yeah, man?
Yeah, I think the whole O-line gets a little, try to be a selfless group, but we get a little twinge of pride when that happens on the 2-yard line. And, that's something that we want to take into our hands there, and, we were able to do it right there.
And with Baker, in a situation like that, when the game is on the line, what's it like when you're out there with him at quarterback, knowing you got to go down to score?
Yeah, I think I've said it, but there's no one else that, I'd rather follow in a 2-minute drill. He goes in there in utmost confidence, and then on 4th and 10 is able to go get out of something like that and scramble and get us a first down, pop up, and just lead the troops right down the field. I think he plays some of his best ball when it's a huge pressure situation like that, and he brings the best out of all of us.
What is it about this group that has allowed you early on in the season, when a lot of teams, the 2-minute stuff, sometimes guys are out of sorts, you know, but you guys have been so locked into these situations to where you've been able to come from behind and win games. What is it about this group that's allowed that?
I think it starts with Bake. I think his leadership is incredible, and then it just the entire offense as a unit, the resiliency that we have. We've obviously been working on 2-minute for a lot of times, and we've got some serious playmakers out there that are able to catch a ball, knife up the field, get some yards, and with the offensive line being able to get the protection that we need, and Bake making the throws, we're really clicking so far on that.
Despite all the shuffling around on the offensive line, the way you guys have performed these first 2 games, does that give you confidence moving forward, knowing that reinforcements are coming with Tristan and Gedeke at some point?
I think we're just taking it week by week here, and obviously, we've been winning games, and we're thrilled, and we've had a bunch of different guys step up and play well, and we're very excited about that. And right now, we're just the guys will come back. They'll come back from injuries, and whenever that is, we'll be welcoming back with open arms. And but right now, we just got to focus on the Jets.
Michael Jordan was a guy that was inserted into the lineup, and you guys and his coaching staff helped him along to where he was able to have success early on. You're going to have to add some new pieces in there as well. What is it about this coaching staff, your position coaches, and your group that's kind of allowed for that success to happen?
Yeah, Carbs and BP do an excellent job getting guys ready, and we have a very selfless and driven room where it's everybody takes their job seriously, and we have guys that are able to step up and like Mike, pop in there, and it's almost an almost seamless transition. So it's a testament to the culture that we have built in the room, and we're very proud of that.
I mean, is it fair to say those are two of the best position coaches in the league at that position?
I mean, they're excellent at their job, absolutely.
Ben, from your perspective, like just taking over the center spot and handling it in stride, what has that process been like for you? Because you didn't have that chance really throughout the offseason.
It's something I've done before, something that, as an interior offensive lineman in this league, you really have to always have in your back pocket. I've had to play center before, in previous team. So, previous teams before, it's something that I had to learn early on. And, it's something we had to do. So I'm very comfortable with it, and, that's the direction that we went.
And how has that changed your communication with Baker Mayfield and kind of enhancing it snap by snap and throughout the game?
Yeah, I think it's, Bake and I, we talk all the time, and, we have great communication as an offensive line unit with Bake. I don't think it's really changed that much. Maybe more, I feel maybe a little bit more communication with him just because I'm in the center spot now instead of Grant. That would really be it. But the communication-wise, we've always been very good communicators together.
All right, that's all for Ben. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You guys are dealing with injuries on both sides of the line, obviously, and for you it's tough to think about going without Kalijah. But how do you guys move forward and handle things without him on Sunday?
That's just the motto that you live as football players. It's tough losing a guy, any type of guy on the team, but losing a guy like Kalijah hurts us up front. With that connection that we have, that brotherhood that we have with him, obviously it just hurts on another level. But it just goes back to that saying, next man up, and you just gotta play the hand that you were dealt.
For you guys, obviously, no one person is going to try and replace Kalijah. How do you think that'll be handled, and how confident are you on the several guys that can do his work for him?
It's like you said, it's hard to replace a guy like him, especially what he was looking like he was going to do this year. He was looking really good early on in the season, so it's hard to replace that. But we just have to pay attention to our technique, listen to our coaching, and focus on the little things at hand, and just try our best to do whatever we can to work together and try to be able to be as close to what we were full health. But obviously, Kalijah's in our thoughts right now, so can't do nothing about that. Just goes back to that saying, next man up. Greg, he played really well. I think Greg's also one of those guys, those sleeper guys that a lot of people sleep on. But when you really think about it, he won the Super Bowl as a starter with the Rams, so he has that type of quality to step up in that position.
There's been 2 games so far where it really came down to the end. What's it been like kind of riding that roller coaster of emotions?
You think about a lot of NFL games like that. Think about in the past, a lot of wins and losses are come down to one-score games. So when it comes down to the end, it comes back to the details, the attention to detail. It just goes to show what the guys are on this team are willing to do to win and sacrifice in those times. And it just goes back to that attention to detail.
How do you think overall defensively in the first 2 games that you guys have played? Pretty good, you would say?
I think that's pretty good, but there's a lot more meat left on the bone for us. I think some games we start off slow, and that's just on us as players. Bo's been harping on us to, we got to start faster and stuff like that, and it just we got to step up to the plate. And some games the offense has our backs, some games we have their back, and we just got to get to the point where we're feeding off each other and working together as a whole team. It's hard, when you look at the media, you don't really see too much of Breece Hall, but once you put on the tape, you see what type of running back he is and how good he is, which makes it a shame, you don't really hear his name that much, but when we put on the tape this week, we just seen how good of a running back and how much he can hurt you with their offense and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for us this week to facing a running back like that. So it'd be good for us to go against him.
Sorry. In terms of snap counts up front, it seemed like you, Hassan, Yahya, all played a really high amount on Monday night, and we're still able to have that 4th down, the goal line stand. What do you want to think about having some left in the tank for that when you played as much as you had in that game?
I think when you look at the snap total on defense, we only had a total of 46, whereas the week prior there was about 70. So I think that's a whole game for some guys. So I think the offense did a good job of holding the ball and killing the clock. So it helped us out towards the end of the game and helped us have more energy towards the end of the game. And when you get to situations like that, you just have to be able to dig deep and find it.
Speaking of energy, looking forward to playing at home in front of the fans. They're going to be crazy. You guys got the creamsicle on, man?
To me, that's all distractions. We got to focus what we got in hand is playing football. I think that's fine for all the fans and stuff like that, but we can't get distracted with all the outside noise. We still got to play football and, game to win.
So you're locked in?
Got to be. Elijah's injury probably opens up more playing time for Elijah Roberts. So far, what are your impressions of him? And you got to have a sack last week.
Elijah Roberts, he's an explosive guy. You don't really see that too much in rookies that come in like that. Especially, he was drafted in later round. You don't really see too much of that. So it's surprising to see a guy like that step in to this defense and seeing how explosive he's been throughout camp and the beginning of the season so far. And he doesn't seem like to me, he doesn't seem like a rookie. He just seems like he's been here for a couple of years and he's just been picking it up.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.